Hi, I'm Muhammed Hamdan and this is Nightline, the top stories. Allah Socks case, KK Mart founder, director and 3 others plead not guilty. And mass casualties feared after bridge in Baltimore collapses. Good morning. We begin with this headlining story. A container ship smashed into a 4-lane bridge in the U.S. port of Baltimore in darkness on Tuesday, causing it to collapse and sending cars and people plunging into the river below. According to Maryland's Transportation Secretary, 8 people were on the bridge at the time of the collision and 6 remain unaccounted for. Rescuers had so far managed to pull out 2 survivors, one in a very serious condition and the other uninjured, and were searching for more in the Patapsco River after huge spans of the 2.6 kilometers Francis Scott Key Bridge crumpled into the water. The ship, identified as a Singapore-flagged container ship, the Dali, was reported to have lost propulsion as it was leaving port, and the crew on board notified Maryland officials that it had lost control of the vessel. The Dali dropped its anchors as part of the vessel's emergency procedures before the collision. Maryland Governor Wes Moore declared a state of emergency to quickly deploy federal resources to deal with the emergency. A witness, Jamie Krause, was in the midst of another night shift at her workplace when the cart of packages in front of her shook violently. She claimed to have heard helicopters circling overhead and seeing hundreds of police and emergency cars lined up along the surrounding streets.
So, I really ran and looked. I went over there and sure as anything, it was gone. The whole bridge was just there was nothing there. And I started recording. I was like, I can't believe this. I called it the Bay Bridge at first because I was in shock. I was like, I can't believe the Bay Bridge collapsed, but it's the Key Bridge. And I was just, it's a shocking sight to see. The infrastructure here is already bad enough. And now we're losing a very main port for our transportation, our distribution, all of it. I'm worried about how people are going to be getting food, water, because trucks for transport or cargo delivery trucks, they take the Key Bridge every day. There's hundreds of them on the bridge every day.
Now, back home, the increase in food prices at Ramadan bazaars is not due to the implementation of the Sales and Service Tax, SST, but rather stems from the high rental costs of the bazaar lots. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the high rental costs are partly due to some traders renting the bazaar lots from agents who take advantage of the situation instead of renting directly from the local authorities.
Semalam di Tambun, saya dapati bahawa sekiranya kos sewa itu lumayan, dia tidak sangat mengesankan. Ya. Ada beberapa kedai daripada ratusan yang ada, sekitar 180 semalam, yang mengambil kesempatan untuk meningkatkan. Ya. Tetapi saya akui ada impak kecil kenaikan harga, tetapi saya tidak fikir oleh kerana SST itu menyebabkan tingkat naik.
Anwar said this in reply to Kota Baru MP Datuk Seri Takayuddin Hassan on the government's plan to mitigate the hike in food prices and Ramadan Bazaar operational costs following the increase in the service tax from 6 to 8%. The Prime Minister explained that if the government does not implement the SST, it is feared to have negative effects on the economy and national revenue. According to Anwar, he has also instructed the local town councils not to impose high rates for bazaar lots in a bid to lighten the burden of traders. Moving on, Datuk Seri Chai Ki Khan, the founder and executive chairman of the KK Mart Group, and his company director, wife Datin Seri Loh Siu Mui, both pleaded not guilty at the Shah Alam Sessions Court in Selangor with intentionally wounding the religious feelings of Muslims by displaying socks bearing the word Allah at its Bandar Sunway outlet. Chai, 57, and Loh, 53, who were charged separately, said they understood the charges framed under Section 298 of the Penal Code read out to them in English before Judge Muhammad Anas Mahazi. They were charged with intentionally wounding the religious feelings of Muslims by displaying stockings printed with the word Allah on the sales shelves, which was cited by one Riza Ariandi Nasution Sharif. They had committed the offences as company directors at KK Supermart and Superstore in Bandar Sunway on March 13th at 6:30 a.m. Meanwhile, during the same court session, directors of Sin Jian Chang, Sindrian Berhad were separately charged with abetting Chai and Lo in the distribution of the stocks. Sin Jian Chang is the company that previously supplied these stocks to KK Supermart and Superstore Sindrian Berhad. According to the charge sheet, So Chin Huat, 61, Go Li Hui, 62, and So Hui San, 36, were accused of abetting the convenience chain by intentionally hurting the religious feelings of Muslims by displaying these socks on its sales rack. Chin Huat, representing the company, faced an additional charge of a similar offence. They all pleaded not guilty to the charges. Their offences are framed under Section 109, read together with Section 298 of the Penal Code, which carries a maximum 1-year jail term, fines, or both upon conviction. The court set bail at 10,000 ringgit for each accused and scheduled mentions for all cases on April 29th. In a related matter, police in Perak are reviewing CCTV footage to identify those involved in hurling a Molotov cocktail at a KK Mart outlet in Bido Tapa. State Police Chief Datuk Seri Muhammad Yusof Hassan Basri said the police had obtained CCTV footage of the incident, which occurred early Tuesday. Yusri said police will be combing through the CCTV footage obtained, adding that police are still investigating how many people were involved and the vehicle used in the attack. In the 5:35 a.m. incident, KK Mart workers who were present during the time of the incident reported the attack to the police immediately. He said the Molotov cocktail that was thrown at the shop had only hit the 5-foot walkway in front of the shop.
Semasa sedang bekerja di kedai tersebut telah terdengar bunyi botol pecah di bahagian hadapan kedai. Lepas itu, pengadu terus ke bahagian hadapan kedai dan mendapati terdapat serpihan kaca serta bahan letupan menyerupai mercun di atas lantai kedai tersebut. Pengadu juga telah terhidu bau seperti minyak tanah dipercayai daripada serpihan kaca tersebut.
The case would be investigated under the Penal Code for mischief. Those found guilty can be jailed up to 2 years or fined or both.
Silibus terlalu padat dan tinggi. Faktor keciciran pembelajaran dikenal pasti. Di pihak kementerian, intervensi kurikulum tampil sebagai inisiatif solusi.
Pastikan anda bersama saya, Fadina Siddiq, dalam Soal Rakyat, Sabtu 30 Mac, jam 4 petang, hanya di TV3.
Now, the government is set to review existing laws on drugs in the country for more effective enforcement. Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said the move is to plug any possible loopholes, including curbing the online distribution and sale of illegal substances, such as using e-commerce platforms.
Dalam talian ada dua kaedah. Satu, kita telah melakukan koordinasi dengan semua penyedia platform, service provider. Tetapi ialah penjualan dadah secara individual, individual yang mempunyai platformnya sendiri, kepada bakal pelanggan dia melalui platform dia sendiri.
Zahid said this at a press conference after chairing the inaugural Cabinet Committee meeting on combating drug abuse in Kuala Lumpur on Tuesday. He also said that the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry had been invited to the meeting for a special discussion on the status of the e-commerce platform supervision bill, which will further strengthen control and enforcement powers to curb online drug sales, especially through e-commerce platforms. On another matter, Zahid stated that the government views seriously the addiction to the vape liquid laced with a drug known as magic mushroom and is looking at effective measures to address the problem. A meeting on the dual 5G network model is expected to be held next week. According to Communications Minister Fahmi Fazil, the meeting of the Joint Task Force on 5G would involve him, along with representatives from the Finance Ministry and Digital Ministry.
we need to convene the meeting first, and then we will be appraised of the current situation. So we expect to have the meeting within this next 1 week.
Fahmi told this to the media after the opening of BlackBerry's Cybersecurity Centre of Excellence by the Prime Minister in Cyberjaya on Tuesday. Currently, the Digital Ministry oversees the day-to-day aspects of running Digital National Berhad (DNB), while the Communications Ministry focuses on the overall landscape related to spectrum, infrastructure and towers. On May 3rd last year, the government decided to implement a dual 5G network once the current rollout under DNB reached 80% of populated areas. The decision was aimed at dismantling monopolies and promoting competition. On January 10th, it was reported that the 5G network coverage had achieved 80.2% in populated areas as at December 31st, 2023, surpassing the 80% target. Malaysia strongly endorses UN resolution for Gaza ceasefire. This and more when we return. Don't go away.
Indah macam dulu-dulu riang-riang sisimu, indah macam dulu-dulu aku rindu.
Money Matters is back with a new season. Your key insights into finance. Money Matters. Every Saturday, 5 p.m. Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Antara topik menarik dalam Sembang Sahur minggu ini.
Daya, bulan Ramadan ini adalah bulan untuk kita mengeratkan silaturahim.
Betul, dalam bulan Ramadan ini kita ambil peluang untuk melenturkan segala keregangan, tak kisahlah dengan adik-beradik ke dengan kawan-kawan.
Dan selain itu juga kita akan bincangkan mengenai bulan Ramadan ini adalah bulan rezeki. Memang bagus kita menderma pada bulan Ramadan ni.
Betul, jadi semua ini kami akan bawakan kepada anda pada 27 dan 28 Mac ini jam 11 malam hanya di TV3.
Dan anda boleh stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Manusia tidak lepas daripada melakukan kekilafan dan inilah waktu yang terbaik untuk perbaiki diri. Marhaban ya Ramadan. Daripada saya, Akil Zulkifli.
Welcome back. Malaysia on Tuesday expressed in the strongest terms the country's endorsement of United Nations Security Council UNSC Resolution 2728 and urged for the legally binding resolution to be enforced immediately. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the people of Gaza must be relieved from the immense pain and suffering they have now endured for almost 6 months. In a statement, Anwar said for the sake of Ramadan, in the spirit for which the season is intended to engender contemplation, renewal of the faith and return to family, the legally binding resolution must be enforced now. The UNSC Resolution 2728, which was passed on Monday, called for an immediate ceasefire of all hostilities in Gaza for the month of Ramadan, the immediate release of all hostages and the urgent need to expand the flow of aid into the territory. Anwar stated that the United States particularly must prevail upon its ally to respect the will of the international community and accordingly observe the ceasefire and permit the immediate and massive entry of emergency aid. He added that Malaysia also applauded the bravery and commitment to humanity of the 10 elected members of the Council. In the meantime, Israeli airstrikes have again killed dozens of Palestinians at both ends of the Gaza Strip overnight, hitting the area around Al-Shifa Hospital in the north and Rafah on the southern edge, where more than 1 million people have sought shelter. Intense fighting has raged in the north for more than a week around Al-Shifa, with at least 30 people killed on Tuesday in a strike that wiped out a family compound near Gaza's biggest hospital. In Rafah, health authorities said 18 people, including 8 children, were killed in a strike, while a siege by tanks around 2 other hospitals in Khan Yunis continued for the 3rd day. According to Gaza's health ministry, more than 81 people have been killed in the past 24 hours, taking the territory's death toll from Israel's offensive to 32,414. Meanwhile, Qatar's foreign ministry spokesman Majid Al-Ansari said the indirect negotiations between Israel and Hamas for a truce in Gaza are still underway in Doha, without revealing any specific developments in the talks. New Zealand has accused Chinese state-sponsored hackers for infiltrating Parliament, joining the United States and United Kingdom in accusing China of malicious cyber activity. Its Security Minister Judith Collins on Tuesday said that hackers linked to the Chinese government attacked the New Zealand Parliament in 2021, marking the first time the country has publicly attributed cyber attacks on its government systems to China. The accusation comes a day after the US and the UK announced a set of criminal charges and sanctions against 7 Chinese hackers for allegedly conducting sweeping attacks on behalf of China's civilian intelligence agency. The years-long campaign allegedly targeted American officials, senators, journalists and companies, including Pentagon contractors as well as British parliamentarians, the UK's election watchdog and members of the European Parliament, affecting millions of people. The Chinese embassy in London, however, dismissed the claims as completely unfounded and malicious slander, calling the sanctions outright political manipulation. Alcaraz Zverev reached last 16 at Miami Open. Sports after this breather.
Money Matters is back with a new season. Your key insights into finance. Money Matters. Every Saturday, 5 p.m. Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Ramadan, bulan kebajikan.
Bulan berkongsi rezeki, kasih dan sayang.
Bubur lambuk antara menu wajib berbuka puasa.
Kami kongsikan pelbagai menu bubur lambuk Selasa ini.
Emosi ibu bersalin harus dititik beratkan.
Meroyan selepas bersalin, jangan ambil mudah.
Mudah lafazkan maaf.
Ikhlaskan maaf dan memaafkan.
Jadikan Ramadan bulan cinta.
Ini masanya untuk semarakkan rumah tangga.
Semuanya di WHI TV3
dan stream di Tonton.
Polis telah mendapatkan perintah reman terhadap lelaki berusia 35 tahun yang mengamuk hingga menyebabkan kematian 3 beradik.
Sini diorang jahit jari ni putus, diorang sambung balik lah.
Abang nak pergi dulu terbang. Abang nak bawa adik-adik. Mak dengan abang nanti abang bawa, dia cakap.
Thanks for staying with us. Sports now. Football, the 2026 FIFA World Cup AFC qualifiers. Harimau Malaya suffered yet another loss after going down 2-0 to Oman in their second round match of Group D on Tuesday night. Oman broke the deadlock just before the interval when Omar Muhammad Rashid Al Maliki calmly converted from the spot following a foul on Al-Malki Muhsin Saleh Abdullah Ali Al-Ghassani. The national squad tried to find the equaliser, but efforts from Arif Aiman, Muhammad Hanapi and Ramel Morales were either thwarted by Oman's goalkeeper or went wide. Things went from bad to worse for the Kim Pangon side as Muhammad Mubarak Hamud Mubarak Al-Ghafri scored his team's second late in the dying minute, securing a comfortable 2-0 victory. With the result, Malaysia has to win the remaining matches against Kyrgyzstan on June 6 and Taiwan on June 11th to have a chance to advance to the next round. On to tennis, the 2024 Miami Open top seed Carlos Alcaraz is on a quest to capture the Sunshine Double after dominating Gael Monfils in straight sets in their round of 32 clash on Tuesday. The Spaniard needed only 74 minutes to clinch a 6-2, 6-4 victory against the Frenchman, a match peppered with brilliant rallies. Alcaraz is set to face Italian Lorenzo Musetti in the last 16. In another match, Australian Alex de Minaur set his personal best, reaching the fourth round of the tournament for the first time by beating Jan-Lennart Struff 7-6, 6-4. The 9th-seeded battled windy conditions to set up a meeting with Hungary's Fabian Marozsan next. Earlier, Alexander Zverev recovered from an early setback to beat home favourite Christopher Eubanks 7-6, 6-3 in an hour and 41 minutes. The German world number 5 will next face Karen Khachanov for a place in the quarter-finals. In the women's singles event, Ekaterina Alexandrova ended Iga Świątek's quest for a second sweep of the Sunshine Double, defeating the Pole in straight sets in their last 16 clash. The 16-seeded Alexandrova played brilliantly to stun the world number 1 6-4, 6-2 in just 84 minutes. She will face Jessica Pegula next in the quarterfinals. Joining her was Elena Rybakina. The 4th seed powered past Florida resident Madison Keys 6-3, 7-5 in a match that lasted more than 60 minutes. The Kazakhstani will face Greece's Maria Sakkari, who advanced into the last 8 with a walkover after Anna Kalinskaya had to withdraw due to injury. Up next, 2 foreigners nabbed after attempt to kidnap toddler foiled. Stay with us.
Polis telah mendapatkan perintah reman terhadap lelaki berusia 35 tahun yang mengamuk hingga menyebabkan kematian 3 beradik.
Sini diorang jahit jari ni putus, diorang sambung balik lah.
Abang nak pergi dulu terbang. Abang nak bawa adik-adik. Mak dengan abang nanti abang bawa, dia cakap.
Money Matters is back with a new season. Your key insights into finance. Money Matters. Every Saturday, 5 p.m. Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Malaysia hari ini dengan pelbagai topik menarik. Ajaran sesat semakin berleluasa. Perlu pantau dan tindakan sewajarnya. Ketahui gejala dan simptom meroyan. Pentingnya peranan suami dan ahli keluarga. Cameron Highlands, Jeli Kelantan dan juga Jerantut. 10 bandar yang paling bahagia di Malaysia. Apakah kriterianya? Istimewa Nuzul Al-Quran, pelajari ilmu kitab suci Al-Quran dan juga teknik bertalaki. MHI, Isnin hingga Jumaat di TV3, juga stream melalui Tonton.
How do general takaful and insurance companies thrive amidst economic challenges with innovations and strategic market expansions? What initiatives can be undertaken to stay ahead in a dynamic environment and to adapt to changing consumer needs? We speak with Takaful Malaysia Arm's Chief Executive Officer Muhammad Sabri Ramli this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Nightline continues. Police detained 2 foreigners who tried to kidnap a 1-year-old toddler at a supermarket in Klang, Selangor on Monday. North Klang Police Chief ACP S. Vijaya Rao said the 2 suspects, aged 25 and 30, would be remanded for 3 days to assist investigations under the Penal Code. During the 7:30 p.m. incident, the child was with the mother and auntie, who were using the escalator in the supermarket when 2 assailants came from behind to try and grab the child from the mother. One of the foreigners managed to grab the child from the mother, but the mother, who shouted for help, managed to get hold of her child. The 2 assailants tried to escape from the scene but were rounded up by members of the public and later handed to the police. The Customs Department has foiled an attempt by an international drug trafficking syndicate to smuggle 380 kilograms of methamphetamine worth over 12 million ringgit. This after the drugs were seized by Customs during an inspection at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport KLIA Air Cargo Complex in Sepang on March 20th. Customs Deputy Director General for Enforcement and Compliance, Datuk Sazali Muhammad, said enforcement officers spotted a suspicious-looking pallet containing 40 boxes at 7:30 p.m. A detailed inspection revealed that 32 boxes contained packets of Chinese herbal tea, inside of which were crystal substances believed to be methamphetamine. As for the remaining 8 boxes, no drugs were found. Initial investigations also revealed that the merchandise was declared as magnetic hard disk drive from the Bayan Lepas Cargo Complex in Pulau Pinang on March 18th, and then transported by land to the KLIA Cargo Complex the following day. The goods were also intended for export by air to Sydney, Australia, and the known information about the exporter indicates a company that manufactures hard disks in Kulim, Kedah. However, it is suspected that this information may have been exploited by the drug syndicate. So far, no arrests have been made. The case was being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act. Meanwhile, a 51-year-old drug pusher who had 11 previous records for drugs and criminal-related offences since 2018 was again detained following a raid at his rented house in Nibong Tebal, Pulau Pinang on Monday. Deputy State Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Usuf Jan Muhammad said that in the 8 p.m. operation, a total of 17.29 kilograms of shabu worth 571,500 ringgit were discovered inside the house. The drugs, packed in gold-colored Chinese tea packaging, were believed to be from a neighboring country and belonged to a syndicate which the suspect was working with. Besides the drugs, police also seized a car and cash amounting to 19,200 ringgit. According to authorities, the drugs were believed to be for the local market and could cater for 87,000 users. The unemployed man, who had been active in the drug trade since last October, also tested positive for methamphetamine and has been remanded for a week to assist in investigation under the Dangerous Drugs Act. Traditional market in Saudi Arabia that has been set up for the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Set within Al Turaif's beautiful park, Souk Al Mausim centers on Diriya's unique culture and heritage, attracting Saudi locals and tourists alike. With that, I'm Muhammed. Thanks for tuning in, and to our Muslim viewers, Selamat Bersahur.